Hey guys, it's AJ from Your Song Plan. I decided to cut out the .com since there isn't actually a .com anymore, but we'll keep the Your Song Plan. Jim P, let me know how you like that. So I just want to give a disclaimer. This is not exactly an educational video, it's more just for entertainment. Since I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm not a professional mixer by any means. This is just how I like to mix. I just thought you would like to see how I do it. This is not how to do it. There are a lot of great videos on that. My favorite is the recording revolution. So let's take a look at that, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, so today we're going to be mixing The Judge by 21 Pilots, one of my favorite songs. This is our cover of it, me and my sister. My sister did the drums and some backup vocals, and this should be very fun. I'll go show you my mixing process. So the first thing I like to do is once we have the raw tracks, I like to balance all the levels, make sure all the levels are right. So I've already got the background vocals pulled down a bit, just so they're not super loud. But what I like to do is flip the entire mix to mono, and then balance out the levels. And I like to pick the loudest or most complex part of the song because it'll have all the instruments in it.
Oh no, set me free. You're the judge.
And then I would like to pull all the volume faders down, bring up the most important track first, in this case would be the drums, and set that at 0. And then bring in the second most important instrument, in this case it would be the lead vocal.
Oh no, set me free. I know. Oh no.
And then the bass.
The judge. Oh no, set me free.
And then the keyboard.
The judge. Oh no, set me free. I know. Oh no, set me free.
Guitars.
You're the judge. Oh no, set me free. I know. Oh no, set me free. You're the judge. Oh no, set me free. I know. Oh no, set me free. You're the judge. Oh no, set me free.
Then once I have the balance, I like to flip it back to stereo and take a listen.
Oh no, set me free. You're the judge. Oh no, set me free.
And then after that, flipping it back to mono, I like to go through each instrument and try to make each instrument as clear as possible, poke out as where it needs to be. So I'll use EQ on each track. Start with the drums.
Oh no.
I like to make sure to do this at a low volume, so that everything is a little harder to hear originally, and you need to really fight to make it clear.
Oh no, set me free. I know. Oh no, set me free. I know. Oh no, set me free.
I like to use subtractive EQ first, then compression, and then additive EQ.
You're the judge. Oh no, set me free.
You might notice I don't have very many plugins. I used to have a ton of plugins. They used to cover the entire screen, and I found that I would just spend forever trying to figure out which plugin to use, so I reduced it to just the plugins that I need. And that seemed to have a very good effect on my workflow.
You're the judge. Oh no, set me free.
I generally don't ever apply compression to a virtual instrument since it's already a little too even to begin with. I like to make a bus for all the guitars and background vocals.
Oh no. You're the judge.
So here's the guitar bus.
Set me free.
Then I like to flip it to stereo, just to make sure everything's going well.
Oh no, set me free. You're the judge.
Then I like to check a different part of the song, make sure everything still works there.
3 lights are lit, but the 4th one's out. I can tell it's a bit darker than the last night's bout. And I'd forgotten about the drought of like bulbs in this house, so I head out down the route. I think it's heading south, but I'm
And then finally I like to mix the lead vocal.
must have forgot to close his doors as he cranked out those dismal chords, and his 4 walls declared him insane. I found my way, right time, wrong place, as I pled my case. You're the judge.
For the lead vocal, I like to set up one compressor to catch the peaks, and then another compressor to smooth everything out afterwards.
Lights are lit, but the 4th one's out. I can tell it's a bit darker than the last night's bout, and I'd forgotten about the drought. Oh no. Na 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 na, yeah yeah. Na 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 na, oh oh. Cranked out those dismal chords, and his 4 walls declared him insane. I found my way, right time, wrong place, as I pled my case. You're the judge, oh no, set me free. You're the judge, oh no, set me free. I know my soul's freezing, hell's hot, for good reason, so...
Alright, so real quick before and after. Here is the mix without any of the plugins.
Oh no, set me free. You're the judge. Oh no, set me free. I know.
And here's the mix with all the plugins on.
Oh no, set me free. You're the judge. Oh no, set me free. I know.
So hopefully they're making a difference. And then finally I like to do some master bus plugins, so an EQ. Try to find if there are any weird frequency areas.
Oh no, set me free. I know. You're the
A little bit of compression. For master bus compression, I like to use a very low ratio, 2:1. Very slow attack, and the fastest release possible. I like to put a little bit of saturation on the mix bus. So here's without the mix bus plugins.
oh no, set me free. You're the judge. Oh no, set me free.
And here's with them on.
Judge. Oh no, set me free. You're the judge. Oh no, set me free.
Alright, that's about it. Now I flip it back to stereo and see what we got.
Oh, na 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 na, yeah yeah. Na 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 na, oh oh. A free life.
And finally I like to add little reverb. So I create a reverb button, put a reverb plugin and turn the dry all the way down and turn the wet all the way up, so it's just reverb.
Set me free.
And as my bud Jim P will be quick to point out, it's a good idea to add a little EQ after the reverb. Just a little high pass and low pass. And a little compression too.
Set me free. I know my soul's freezing, hell's hot for good reason, so please.
Alright, and that's about it. I usually slap a limiter on the end to make it louder, and that's about it.
Oh no, set me free. You're the judge. I know my soul's freezing, hell's hot for good reason, so please take me